welcome into another episode of Cornhusker Connection. I'm Brandon Shanahan, joined with the fellas, Tyler Sprinkle and Brooke Byrne. We're all here somehow, some way. I didn't think I'd make it after this weekend of football, but we survived. How you guys doing?
I could be better for sure.
Yeah,
could be way better.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're a college football podcast, but what a weird weekend in the NFL. All the real AFC contenders, like really all the best teams. You got the Bills losing, you got the Chiefs losing, you got the Broncos losing, you got the Bengals losing. I mean, what a disaster.
Don't make that face, Brooke. Don't make that face.
Let's
listen. We're here. We're all hurting. Let's slide by that
one. All right, fair.
But not the only teams that let us down this week. Nebraska losing to Colorado. I was on here Saturday and just kind of talking about how, I mean, I don't see a single thing with Jeff Sims that's redeemable.
No, what is it? 8 turnovers in 2 games.
Yep, and then he's got one long touchdown run on a broken defensive play, and then another broken defensive touchdown pass to show for it.
Yeah, it's hard to see the silver lining right now with how Nebraska's looked the first 2 weeks, because our defense is really fucking good, and Urban Meyer even came out and said he really liked our defense, but our offense. I was doing a deep dive into Satterfield as an OC, and it's when you look at turnovers under him over the last 5 years, like this is his track record. So I don't know what it is about him and Sims as a combination. You guys just are never on the right side of that, but
yeah. And
I saw a lot of Satterfield hate after the game, along with Jeff Sims. Let's remember, Jeff Sims is a human. Let's not go too ham on him. Yes, he does stink, or he did stink the first 2 games. I'm still a believer that he can right the ship. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, he won't have that opportunity for maybe 4 or 5 weeks from what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but
4 or 5. Okay, I didn't hear that. That's crazy.
Ankle sprain. I heard it was going to be less time than the usual 5 to 6 week time frame. But yeah, he's not going to be around here for at least the next couple of games.
And I wonder now if he really does miss 4 or 5 weeks, if he even comes back at all this year, depending on our record. Because What is it, 4 now? You can get the red shirt. He might get a medical red shirt or just a normal red shirt. I don't know, but
oh boy, sign me up for another 2 full seasons of Jeff Sims. Hot dog.
Maybe not here, but maybe if he does stay, obviously that would help getting him a second and third year with us or wherever else it may be. And I'm along the line of thinking of what Tyler's saying. We have to remember that he is a 22-year-old kid. So,
and who knows? Maybe we'll see. Is it going to be Heinrich that comes in?
I think
that comes in and plays.
I've heard both names a bunch. Yeah. I hope it's Heinrich, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was Purdy.
They said Purdy's dealing with a groin injury. I think is that what they said?
Yeah, I know he had dinged that up, but I think they mentioned that he was pretty much back on track.
Okay. And we'll really be able to see if they come in and we're still an anemic offense, and we'll really see if it's Jeff Sims or if it's Satterfield. That's the issue.
Well, and that's what I'm so mad about is that I think Satterfield's been awful, but I can't even really come up with an argument that it's anything other than Jeff Sims at this point. And maybe they kind of put fuel on the fire, and that isn't putting Jeff in good situations, because they keep having him throw the football, which is part of the problem, and they keep having him receive the snaps, which evidently is also a problem. Just have the ball to Gabe Irvin Jr. and just let him run with it at this point. But he's just a kid. I get it.
I wonder why they don't try, or why they weren't trying to move the pocket with Jeff Sims more. That does limit you to only half the field to play with. But if he's more comfortable out and about, moving around, then why would you not try to help him feel more comfortable? And maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe he does feel more comfortable in the pocket. But during that game, you could see that I don't know if Colorado was showing some kind of complex things out on the field as to why he wasn't really focused on receiving that snap and was looking up before he actually received the ball. There's things that, um, I'm not an all 22 guy. I don't know everything that's going on the field at all times. I'd like to think that I know some things, but not everything. So there's probably something that we're missing that we're not looking at as to why maybe he wasn't focused on the things that he should have been focused on. But that being said, the number one priority always is to hang on to the football, and he has not done that so far. So I can sit here until I'm blue in the face, try to not make excuses, but try to help people look at other things other than just Jeff Sims being butt. But at the end of the day, he's turning the ball over. He is putting our defense in a tough spot. They are good until they're on the field for 45 minutes a game. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, and when I look at the turnovers from Jeff Sims, I feel like there's a couple of different classes of turnover prone quarterbacks. And like there's the reckless kind that I think we saw a lot with like Adrian Martinez, Tyler. I know you and I saw a lot probably with Drew Lock, where he would put the ball in harm's way, and
Drew
it's
Lock's a beast.
it's a dangerous drug because sometimes it works out. But it just feels like a different level than that. It feels like I haven't seen a single one of these interceptions and be like, oh, okay, well, that was a good player. Oh, I could see what he was trying to do there. It just seems like that there's a level of like just competence that we're missing out on. And it just seems like they're so unprepared and so caught off guard by what the defenses are showing. And both for Minnesota and Colorado, he hasn't looked comfortable. I mean, even kind of a little bit for a majority of the game, which is really what worries me. And especially during that Colorado game, you can tell that some of this stuff was messing with his head. And once you kind of get mental in a close game at halftime, I'm so curious why this seems like the exact opportunity to make a switch. And I'm always pro your starting quarterback because guess what? Matt Rhule knows all these guys way better than I do. So it feels real lazy for me to just come in and beat the table and be like, oh, these guys stink. Get a new guy in when he probably stinks more. And that's why he's not playing in the first place. But it just kind of feels like that opportunity where this isn't working. Does this next guy work? Maybe not. But even if not, we're in the same boat as we were just 10 minutes ago when Jeff Sims is turning the ball over like he is.
Yeah.
Well,
And so a lot of that is a quick thought is I wonder if Matt Rhule is I picked him. That's my guy. I want it to work out so bad. Thankfully, it's kind of been taken out of his hands now. Like he doesn't have the opportunity to really play Jeff Sims for a couple weeks. So we'll see.
my whole thing is, like Brandon was kind of alluding to, it's not like a gunslinger mentality with, you see with certain guys trying to make big plays. It's more indecisive errors where he's hanging on to the ball too long and he's not processing what he's seeing. And it's making him, I don't know the right word, what I'm looking for here, but I mean, just indecisive, where he almost looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Where, you want to give him like 1-2 reads, and if he doesn't see something he likes, take off. But like you guys are saying, Matt Rhule obviously knows him the best. And I don't like the Casey Thompson narrative now, like after seeing some things. Obviously, he had the good week 1, but week 2, he's playing Ohio, which still a decent football team, but had 180 yards, about a 50% completion percentage, and 2 picks. So, like Tyler said, I would let it breathe with Sims. Maybe something clicks later on in the year when he comes back, or maybe it works out with Harburg. So,
yeah, the revisionist history on Casey Thompson is kind of fun for me. I mean, obviously, Casey Thompson's not a great option, but it does kind of feel like that this floor is a little bit higher. Of course, revisionist history in this Matt Rhule Satterfield offense, it could still be just as big of a problem.
it's just frustrating that you would think nowadays with the portal, we would be able to get someone that we're a decent quarterback away from maybe being 2-0 right now. Obviously, our offensive line hasn't played great either, along with Sims, but our quarterback numbers are not great.
And you mentioned the transfer portal. But it's hard to think that because of the way Nebraska's been the last couple of years. Why would any good quarterback in their right mind want to come to Nebraska? Is my thought behind that. Yeah, it's a big program. You're going to get a lot of eyes on you. I mean, everybody hopes it's going to turn around, and I do think we're still on track. I'm not worried. I'm not ready to send Matt Rhule packing or anything like that. But the past, I don't even know how long, 5, 6, 7 years, they haven't done anything. They've been kind of the laughingstock of the Power 5 conferences for a while. Maybe laughingstock is a little bit too much, but I don't know. Like the DJ Uyalungule, like why would he want to come to Nebraska, or why would um, any of the other transfers want to come to Nebraska? Right now, it doesn't make sense that any of them would.
Well, one, it's money because Jeff Sims is getting quite a bit of money through NIL stuff. And two, I understand that argument in the Frost era, but with Rhule, I mean, he has proven himself a winner. And obviously, with Tony White in the defense now, like my selling point would be to quarterbacks, this team is good enough to win now. You obviously our wide receivers are thin, but you have Gabe Ervin back there to help you. You have Billy Kemp, Marcus Washington, and a bunch of young guys. So maybe the mistakes are with the wide receivers and the O line a little bit, but we're 3 points away from beating Minnesota, and you got to think if we don't turn the ball over as much, obviously that's a big what if we're in that Colorado game a little bit more, but it's odd to me that you can't go into like a group of 5 school where a guy at like Ohio, the Rourke kid, make a run at him, or someone who's proven himself that can, stand in there, make reads wherever you get him from. But I don't know.
And I think it's a good selling point. Like, yeah, the previous regime didn't achieve nearly what they thought they would, but this fan base is hungry for a winner. And like you said, that translates into NIL. One thing that always sticks out for me is Casey Thompson did an interview last year with Bussin' with the Boys, and he was talking about the NIL stuff and coming from Texas. And he was like, I can't believe it, what it's like up here. I mean, basically all the starters are getting 6-figure deals, and even, just as a program as well, that I don't think that there's any women's sports programs in the country that's getting, kind of the opportunities that Nebraska's getting. So money certainly talks, and I feel like there's a certain sense of legacy that can kind of come with being the guy that to turn this historic football program around. I thought that would help us out. Now, granted, I did think that this would work out better in recruiting. Maybe like a high 5-star quarterback. I was looking at schools like Georgia and USC. Maybe even has some family ties to Nebraska, and thought maybe he could be the guy to turn things around. But ultimately, hypothetically, going a different way. But I mean that would be my selling point. But I don't. I'm trying to think of like other transfer quarterbacks. I mean, the Ole Miss quarterback room is all brand new. It's tough to imagine Spencer Sanders looking at an opportunity like Nebraska and be like, well, I could go play there and be a part of Big Ten football, or I could go ride the bench in Oxford. I'm sure those opportunities are out there.
And I also think too, like a lot of these people that go play Division I football, they have professional aspirations. Coming to play quarterback in Nebraska is not necessarily checking that box. Yeah, you can make anything of your career if you're dedicated and you're good enough to. But there's not a whole lot of quarterbacks that come out of Nebraska that make it in the NFL.
But I just hate that line of thinking, because if you can play, like, the NFL will find you. And right now it's we have guys that, I mean, obviously, like, maybe there is a little something to that with Satterfield now, because he's just not a great offensive coordinator, if we're being honest. At least right now, and what he's shown us. Like, he left South Carolina. It's hard to imagine South Carolina not pushing him out, because why would Satterfield leave an SEC job for a Big Ten job? So maybe a little bit of that is him, But again, if you can play, the NFL will find you. You see like small school guys all the time now, getting drafted and maybe not in the higher rounds, but getting opportunities at least. So a Power 5 team, I mean, regardless of who it is, if you can play, like, you will get a shot.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Martinez is on a practice squad right now, and he was an undrafted. He got an invite to training camp. They got to think, well, are you better than Adrian Martinez? I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to be like, yeah, I'm better than Adrian Martinez, whether they're right or not.
Adrian Martinez slander will not be taught.
No. I'm just saying that's the selling point, is that you get these guys in with big egos. Of course, I'm better than Adrian Martinez. He wasn't very good. Now, he doesn't know us like we know him, for sure. But it's like, well, that's kind of the opportunity that you're afforded there. And I mean, the first two games on prime national television, yeah, like you said, the NFL is going to find you if you're good.
Exactly. So, but
another thing that I've seen quite a bit of is a lot of Matt Rhule panic. And granted, I'm also kind of part of this because I'm big now on. There's just a couple of things that I'm seeing. I don't think it takes that long to win football games. And now, granted, not the easiest of starts. A road conference game, road rivalry game, not an ideal start to a schedule there if you come up on the loser side there. But the thing that kills me so much is seeing how much more prepared and kind of calm and collected that Colorado was than Nebraska. I mean, even when things weren't going well for them, you didn't see any panic. You didn't see Shedeur Sanders like forcing bad passes to Travis Hunter that led to mistakes. They had a game plan. They stuck to it. And then eventually, as the Nebraska defense wore down, it paid off. And I haven't seen any of that or anything like that from Matt Rhule so far.
I do like what Matt Rhule is saying, though. Like, he's trying to teach these guys to win because they haven't done a lot of that. And I do think that does go a long way with how to prepare and how to be ready and how to keep fighting through adversity. I think that does go a long way in a program that has not done a lot of winning and probably preparing and fighting through adversity like they should be.
It's just disheartening where, like, to Brandon's point, Deion came in and he stole a head coach from Kent State as his OC. I mean, I get Deion is a big name, but we're taking a guy for like Satterfield who almost seems unwanted. And like Tyler says, I really do want to love Matt Rhule. He does say all the right things, and not only seems like a good coach, seems just like a good person. And I think the kids really respond to that with some of the player comments this week. But from just like, seeing the first two games as a coach, the in-game adjustments just aren't great because we just keep turning the ball over and we snap a ball into our tight end as we're motioning him across. It's like, you got to think some of that stuff in game can be fixed. So while there is a lot of good with Rhule, and I really hope he is the guy to get it done, there is a little bit of room for some panic because this is a lot of the stuff we saw with Scott Frost. It's us, instead of playing bad in the fourth quarter and losing games. I mean, we did do that against Minnesota, but we also played horribly bad in the first half on offense in the Colorado game, and you saw it take a toll on our defense in the second half. They seemed uninterested. So there is good and bad both ways you look at it.
The one last thing to kind of put a bow on the Jeff Sims slander, a whole 20 minutes worth of it. It's interesting to me that we didn't see Anthony Grant at all on Saturday, at least until I turned the game off in the third quarter. But yet Jeff Sims is still the guy. I'm curious. Yeah.
For me, it's, they came out and said he was fumbling all throughout fall camp. And then when you fumble like that in a critical moment, it seemed like that was kind of, the last straw with him. I don't know. They said, had rave reviews about Sims in fall camp. So it's hard to know why Rhule is so invested in keeping Sims in there. Obviously, he's your guy you brought in, but I saw he's the 104th ranked quarterback through 2 games. Like when you look at QBR, and that kind of factors in a lot of just how you look as a quarterback. But I don't know. It's kind of maddening because you don't really understand.
And I think I heard him after the game, so that was never a question. We didn't even think about pulling Jeff Sims, which is, very frustrating to me. I would not to say that he gets a total pass for it, but if he kind of came out and said, hey, we are evaluating everything at all times, and if we think that somebody else can go out there and give us a better chance to win, then we'll go for it. But I was very uneasy about that. And to Tyler's point earlier, and I hope this isn't the case, maybe it is just, hey, this is the guy that I went to go get after. We let Logan Smothers walk. We let Casey Thompson walk. We let Richard Torres walk. And this is the quarterback room that I wanted here. And it's blowing up in my face, but I'm going to, ride it until the ship is sinking.
And there's also something to say, like, these things are fixable. What he's doing, like, it's not like can't throw the ball to somebody, like he can't hit a pass. It's just turnovers. So they suck and they hurt real bad, but they are fixable. And I think that's the big thing to take away from this is he believes in Jeff Sims. He knows that he can be that quarterback that he is. He just has to settle down and figure out what's going on with the turnovers.
And to Tyler's point, 2 things that I wanted to bring up today about when I went back and watched the second half again of that Colorado game. If I had one criticism of our defense is that we do not get off the field on 3rd downs, especially 3rd and longs. There was a 3rd and 15, which we gave up like a home run ball, and then another in the second half. I swear we gave up, I think it was 4 3rd and 10s where it was like we had a chance to get off the field when it was 13-7 or 20-7 where we still kind of in it, and we couldn't do it. I feel like, you have those teams dead to rights in those situations, and it's just kind of a momentum killer.
Yeah. It's hard for me to find a whole lot of bad things to say about the defense, but you're right. I got to imagine as a defense, it's just so disheartening to be like, well, even if we do get this 3rd down stop, we're just going to be right back out here in another 3 to 5 plays anyways. So it's tough to really evaluate them. But I thought that, the defense certainly isn't the problem for me. So I'm actually really excited about how this defense has looked. And hopefully, and I think the word that you used earlier was decent. If we just get decent quarterback play, at this point, I'll even settle for like bad play. Hey, Sophia, what's going on, buddy?
She's being a nuisance. I apologize.
But even if we get like just regular bad quarterback play, I think we'll be in much better shape here the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And the other thing I looked at was when it was 20-7, I think it was the yardage. You and Tyler were talking about this in the Clemson Duke game. The yards were about dead even.
Yeah.
We just
red zone turnovers, man.
Yeah. And we were killing them. 200 plus yards again running the ball. So that seems to be our MO. But
yeah. Any final Husker thoughts? We did have a good week pick'em wise. So, well, I guess we all had winning weeks technically. I don't know if anybody's real happy with their performance, but any final Husker thoughts here, fellas?
Nope.
All right, we'll kind of get into how we did. Guest picker Brett had a good day. We'll pull that up here. So far in the lead for our guest picker standings here. And the rest of us even had a winning week as well. Granted, not by much. Brooke and I with the 6-5 record. Tyler came out of the trenches. The one game that he decided not to write Brooke on, he cashed in on that one. So congrats there. And then Brett with a 7-4 record as well, within 9 points of guessing the score. Got the team wrong, but he's within 10 points, which is something.
Well, Brett did actually get the first game wrong.
Yeah,
Oh shit! Did I get that one right? All right, so that's 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, 4 loss, 5. Okay, so he's back with us. He stinks. What a loser!
I'm a beast.
All right, look you go, Tyler.
12-9, buddy.
Hey, I'm right there on you though.
Yeah.
Well,
But
we're
overall,
gonna make going into next week. We're gonna make Tyler give his picks first before I give mine.
there you go.
I'll do that. I'll do it.
But overall here, which is the one that kind of surprised you guys the most? I definitely didn't see Miami having as good of a day. Utah was real touchy there in Waco. And then Alabama, of course, we all missed on that one.
Yeah, I'd say that one was pretty surprising. But you can go ahead, Brooke.
It was no one ever doubted Texas had the talent to beat Alabama. It was just could they put it all together? And Ewers was good enough. And I didn't watch every play of that game, but
good enough.
Yeah, he was really good.
Dude, I mean, I said it at the beginning of this podcast. I think Quinn Ewers is a very solid quarterback, almost very good quarterback, and he was just good enough for Brooke to beat Alabama at home. That's crazy.
Does anybody have his numbers from that game?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Yeah, but and I had my doubts about Quinn Ewers too, especially after. I mean, he couldn't throw for more than 200 yards against some of these Big 12 defenses towards the end of the year. Just really didn't look like himself, or like he was nearly towards the ceiling. But he was real poised. And the thing that you got to remember with Texas is that they bring back 10 starters on offense. So the offensive line's all in tune, the wide receiver room's all in tune with the starting quarterback. And, of course, you lose Bijan Robinson. That stinks, but it seems like that they got the running back room pretty filled in.
So Quinn Ewers, his stat line was 24 for 38, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Say that again, sorry.
24 for 38, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But yeah, he was
24 for 38.
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty good. I mean, it's still, 60% passing? But
sure. I'm sure you didn't mean it the way that you said it, but I just wanted to let everybody know that I've been on the Quinn Ewers hype train this year.
We'll see, buddy. It's crazy to me that you can look at Quinn Ewers and be like, oh, that guy's really fucking good.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I said. But you look
at Florida State and you're like, nah, that's just not it.
Listen, what's his name, Jordan Travis? If he was anywhere else than the state of Florida, I'd be all on him. I'd be slobbed as knob just like you do. And I don't think that Quinn Ewers is going to be a Heisman candidate, but the way that people talk about him, like he's ass, really doesn't make sense to me. And that's all I'm trying to say.
He definitely, I will give him his props. He has improved a lot this year. Last year watching him, it was tough at times. And so he isn't showing us anything but him being, the guy at Texas this year. So we'll go off that and let's hope he keeps proving you right.
I think we also got to keep in mind that SEC defenses stink. I'm pushing that propaganda pretty hard. They just don't play any good quarterbacks. So when they do see a good quarterback like Jordan Travis, like Quinn Ewers, like Hendon Hooker, like Bryce Young, like Jalen Daniels, they do whatever they want against any SEC defense they want to. So just keep that in mind. Bad defense.
You know who's looking sneaky right now is our preseason Kansas. It was only an 11-point win, but man, were they good.
Yeah, they were in control. I'm so excited about Kansas.
And I don't know if we talked about this. I was a little distracted a little bit ago, so I apologize if I'm talking about it again. But to go back to the Nebraska-Colorado game, if people didn't watch that game and they see the final score, they're like, oh my God, this Nebraska team stinks. And that was not the case at all. Like the first half, yeah, I know. I thought you guys talked about it, but I wanted to get my piece in on that as well while we're talking about it.
That's a good point.
They looked like they were a team that could hang with Colorado and potentially beat them in the first half. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, the Nebraska defense being on the field for I don't know how long. I'm just going to say 45 minutes because that's what it felt like. Obviously, they're going to start making mistakes. So I still love Nebraska. I think they're still a pretty solid team. Just the offense needs to figure it out.
I'd say it looks like they have a really good defense, and I mean, as bad as I think it's just not. And this has been the whole thing with Nebraska this entire decade. It feels like you're like, well, if they just do this, or if they just do this, if they can field a punt, if they can make a field goal, it's a different story. But this one, it feels a little bit different because they are actually moving the ball pretty well. They are playing really good on defense. They're playing good football. I've been told we have a place kicker. I'm not sold on that quite yet. But even a mediocre place kicker is an upgrade from what we've had. Let's just stop throwing the ball in their bellies. I know it. But he's still the guy now. We had another kicker.
And I said this when he missed the first half field goal. At least it wasn't 50 yards left or right. He doinked it. And maybe he misjudged the window a little bit. It's still a decent kick for a true freshman. Obviously, we have to start making some of those, but it's a definite upgrade already.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. The bar is very low. I'll say so. I'll be
the
much
last
more
couple
patient
years. The bar is very low.
I'll be much more patient with him than I am Jeff Sims. That's for sure.
Texas Tech almost jumped up and bit Oregon.
Man, I'll tell you what, the Big 12 after a real rough week 1. I mean, they bounced back pretty well. Texas Tech played really well against Oregon. Baylor outplayed Utah for most of that game with their second and third quarterback. So I'm back on the Big 12.
My curse was almost dead on, by the way.
The kid, I think, who started for Baylor against Utah is now hurt. So are they on their fourth quarterback, or is it their third?
The third, I believe.
Okay, because
I think they were playing both quarterbacks. That might have been their third to begin with, but I'm not too sure. But obviously not great news. But I mean, I'm so really impressed. I thought Utah was, as we'll get into Brooke here later this week. That was a bad beat for me. I had them Utah 7.5. They win by 7.
I think I bought the point on mine, or
oh my gosh,
was that one of my picks? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
This weekend I had 6.5.
Oh man,
real money, so I was real happy.
Dirty dog. But overall, I mean, college football is definitely back. We get a lot of stinkers this week, which is disappointing. One thing I also wanted to point out, as far as knob slobbing here and bruised throats, Fox Big Noon Kickoff is going to Boulder this week, and they don't even get that game.
That's
how
so
funny
disgusting.
Is that? They're going back to Boulder just to promote another game on another network.
Do they not realize all of those grown ass men look like fangirls wanting to go to Boulder and just hang out with Dion? I think it's so insane. Weird.
I see what you're saying. But I do think that there is something going on there that's kind of polarizing. So while I agree with you, Brooke, I can also see the other side of it, being like, oh, this is something cool to be a part of, and they want to be a part of that.
Well, and I'll give ESPN a pass for going there and setting up game day there. It is a rivalry game. It is, of course, the epicenter of college football, and like Joel Klatt said, of probably American sports at this point. But the Fox has a game that they could go to. They have a big noon game, and it's Illinois-Purdue. That's not the worst game ever.
That's going to be such a bad game. I'll give Fox a pass there, too, because that is a horrible game.
I think that game's going to be closer than Colorado State.
It'll be closer, but not in a good way. Did you watching Illinois against Kansas? They look so bad. And then
I might want to walk that take back.
Purdue is butt cheeks as well. I mean, would they both beat Nebraska right now? Probably. Purdue might be a little bit of a stretch, but Illinois probably would beat Nebraska right now. Thankfully, we get to see that here in a couple weeks. Hopefully, we get some stuff ironed out. But I don't think Illinois is as good as I was thinking that they were going to be to start the year.
Well, I think they're playing Penn State.
Yeah, Illinois is.
Okay.
Also, real quick, you can't convince me right now that Iowa is not the best team in the Big Ten West with what the first 2 weeks have shown us.
Did that hurt a little bit?
That hurt to say, but it's honestly true.
I mean,
It's honest day's work.
I think Washington State's a lot better than anybody gives them credit for.
But they beat them last year too on the road.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't
might just be butt chew.
I don't have much of a leg to stand on there. Also, I mean, I don't think I was very good at all, but I think that says more about the Big Ten West than it does Iowa. But yeah, I can't fight you on that one. I think they are comfortably the
You could
drivers of the Big Ten
argue
West.
maybe Minnesota, but even that is.
I mean, if you do give it to Minnesota, it's like, well, they have a functional offense and they have a good defense. They're not very good at much. Like Iowa's defense is very good, and so you give that to them. But I mean, talk about king of the dipshits. What a disaster!
It's so bad. The Big Ten West is just like a smidge above the Big 12 right now.
Let's settle down there. Let's settle down.
The Big 12's not good either.
I mean, I think they're way better than the Big Ten West.
You know who's better than both of them though? The Pac-12.
Pac-12.
No.
Well, and also where's
the
half
conference
the Pac-12
that
going
is
to be playing next year?
Yeah, the conference that is dying. They're showing out for the conference one last time.
They also haven't been in the CFP in a million years, so let's chill out with that.
Well, there's going to be 4 of them this year, so.
Yeah, fucking right. You're just a real son of a gun.
Oregon's going to be up there slinging dick.
Yeah, right. They're not even the best team in their state.
They're finna be.
Wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if the Pac-12 has a playoff team there. I think they have a lot of good teams and not very many bad teams, except Stanford. They stink.
Just ask Tyler about that one.
Yeah, that's.
You guys got in my head. I don't take responsibility for that pick at all.
Oh, right.
I mean, at least it was over by halftime. You're like, there's no way that they're getting with.
I mean,
we could just call it a night.
If anything, right now with our Bookie Brooke segment, we might have a national phenomenon going on with everybody just fading Tyler's pick.
You want to make money? Pick against
the opposite of spring.
Well, awesome. So if what about the Big 12 are you hating so much? Like
outside of like a few teams, like Texas Tech losing to Wyoming, Oklahoma State didn't impress me against Arizona State. That was a garbage can game. There was another. Texas looked good. Obviously, they're head and shoulders. Oklahoma's decent. But outside of like Texas, Kansas, and maybe Oklahoma, I just really haven't been impressed. Unless there's something that I'm just with them. Baylor lost to Texas State.
Oklahoma might be a fraudulent team as well. Let's not forget.
Yeah, I'm
not. That's what I'm saying. They dick down Arkansas State by 70, and then they only put up 28 because of a late touchdown on SMU. Their defense looks all right. Only 11 points through 2 games, but they played Arkansas State and SMU. So,
well, let me ask you this: top to bottom, what do you think is a better conference, the Big 12 or the ACC?
Big 12.
I don't know, man.
I feel like the seller for the ACC is much worse. I feel like at the top,
absolutely,
yeah.
But at the top right now, you have Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, Clemson, and you can throw in Louisville in that category, which I don't know.
I suppose. I think what caught me off guard is your praise for the Big Ten West compared to the Big 12 when we saw
the Big Ten West is bad, but
when we saw the fifth best Big 12 team beat up on Illinois, who was just in the conference championship game a couple of years ago, and who very well could finish second in that god awful division.
Well, you're selling Kansas as the 5th best Big 12 team, where they might be top 3 this year.
They could be, but.
And also, Illinois is not nearly as good as that Big 10 title game team, where they're replacing a lot on defense. 3 starters on the line, new quarterback, new running back. So, and they only lost by 11. So,
yeah,
they did end up making it close.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, other than that, did you guys have any great games that you saw, or anything else that you'd like to add? I'm just so glad that football is back in full swings. I mean, week 3
I did
stinks.
really enjoy watching that Oregon Texas Tech game, just because the way that Texas Tech kind of, in a sense, bounced back after the tough loss against Wyoming. To see them put up such a big fight against Oregon, who again is going to win the national championship. I did enjoy that game. Yeah, everything else is just kind of meh.
Well, also one thing to bring up that I've totally spaced until now. Michigan State's looking for a new coach.
Yeah, so how does that work actually? So they open up the portal so people can transfer out. I think Brooke was the one that told me that they wouldn't be eligible immediately. Is that true?
I can't imagine. Like you pick up a guy in the portal on Tuesday and he's suiting up on Saturday.
So then what's the point of transferring out then?
I mean, you get
because
them before...
they can still redshirt.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they still, they wouldn't burn their eligibility for the year. And I guarantee you, a lot of the kids that are playing, it'll be some second, third stringers probably opt out, but it's like if you don't want to burn a year of eligibility, like they give you that grace period. I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so something like that. I didn't know about that until this came up, but what a disaster.
Neither did I, but I was kind of like listening to people talk about it, and I was like, wow, the more you know.
I mean, their quarterback's been really good so far.
I still don't think they're great, but what do I know?
I mean, he's the leading passer in the Big Ten right now, so I mean, take that with...
That's not saying a whole lot.
No, but he also doesn't have 8 turnovers in 2 games, which is more so what I'm looking at.
That speaks better than the passing yards to me, at least.
Yeah. I still don't think J.J. McCarthy's that good. I think he's a babysitter. His job is to not fuck it up.
You better close your mentions, buddy, because they're going to be coming for your ass.
I don't give a shit. J.J. McCarthy is not good. His job is to hand the ball off to Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards.
I mean, they made the playoff with Cade McNamara, and I mean, he's obviously...
Yeah, what are we talking about? Yeah.
I think he's fairly talented, but I mean, I don't think he's like Heisman worthy or anything like that. He's exactly what Michigan needs.
He's a babysitter. He is Alex Smith in a Michigan uniform. And that hurts my soul to say. You know what? He's not even Alex Smith. Alex Smith could play. Fuck you guys.
I mean, I
just said he was nice. You're the one that was talking ill on the dead.
Yeah. Well, fuck me then.
Hey, he did put up like 1 million yards against TCU last year, in the game where they needed him.
Well, they still lost.
Yeah.
To a Buns TCU team.
Well, okay. Also, TCU didn't.
Wasn't there 2 pick sixes in that game?
Yeah, that's just what I was going to bring up.
All right.
A lot of those. Yeah, so I think, but I mean, also don't slander that TCU defense because Quinn Ewers threw 0 touchdowns against him. So say that for what it's worth. Actually, their whole offense with Bijan Robinson, they all scored 0 touchdowns.
Well, J.J. McCarthy scored 14 for TCU last year in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, you're right. I don't know why I'm so high on J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he's.
Is there a good quarterback in the Big Ten this year, or am I tripping?
Drew Allar. I'm very high on him.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And Penn State's going to be good. I have some thoughts about them next week, but plenty of good stuff going on. But that Michigan State game now looking a lot more winnable.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, fantastic, fellas. Anything else you'd like to add on?
Nope.
Oh. Did you want to do our top 10s?
We'll do that later this week. We'll do it as
okay.
Yeah. Well, sweet. Well, plenty of Cornhusker connection going on this week. We'll get you another episode coming up here soon, and we'll hop on.